So this is how I make my spicy chili con soya. Instead of using mince, I do soy mince. And I'm putting in chilies. I put in quite a few because I like it to be quite spicy without having to add too many other spices. I do a clove of garlic and I do an entire onion. It's all completely up to you and how you like your flavor. I generally prefer it to be really, really rich with onions and garlic. I use butter in everything, but obviously to make it vegan or to make it healthier, you can use coconut oil, olive oil, sunflower oil. It really doesn't matter. I just love butter. So I try to chop the ingredients up as finely as possible, just so that it's not anything that kind of makes it feel like it's chunky soup or anything like that. You just want it to be quite chic in the way you chop it up. And I always add my chilies and my garlic to butter, oil, or whatever else first, just because I feel like it releases the flavors best into the oil, and that makes it easier for the rest of the dish to kind of get soaked in those flavors. And I have the butter not really hot, it's just enough for it to start kind of sauteing the ingredients. I generally peel the first layer of the onion off. I don't know if I'm going to realize that I should be putting the garlic in first. Yep, I realized. Good job. Well done. So peel garlic. I used to chop it up really finely and add it in that way because I like chewing on them. But it's obviously not great for your breath. So now I just crush it and throw it in, and then I can kiss my boyfriend afterwards. So it's great. You want to chop up your onions quite finely. This is the only way I know how to do that. So I try and make them these tiny little cubes. It's not the most efficient way to chop them, I don't think, but it is. Lots of people ask me why I use a serrated knife. It's not practical. I just enjoy it. I'm not sure why. I think it's because I feel safer because I tend to cut my fingers quite a lot. I'm a bit careless when it comes to this kind of thing. So onions chopped up finely into little cubes, toss that into the butter or oil or whatever it is. And again, you're not trying to cook them down. You're trying to get it to release the flavors. So you want the butter to be at a moderate temperature. You want it to saute and turn like a goldeny kind of color. You don't want it to be crazy. With your bell peppers, again, square cubes would be great, but you can, chop them any way you feel comfortable. This is my preferred method with all of the vegetables that I throw into it. And you can add baby marrows, you can add mushrooms. It's really whatever you want, whatever you have. Just because this was my last minute dinner, it's kind of what I went with. Now you can add your vegetables into the oil before you throw your tomatoes in, because obviously the tomatoes is the body of the dish. I go with kind of what I feel because I wanted the peppers to still stay a bit crunchy. I waited and I didn't try to cook them down before adding them in. So with the tomatoes, a lot of people de-seed them. I love the seeds and I find it really flavorful, so I always keep them in, and I try to use all of the juice of the tomato, and that's with salads, soups, whatever it is. I just try to keep everything in. And what am I doing? Chop, chop, chop. So I've got 2 tomatoes. You can use a canned tomato puree or whatever you want, but I find that adding fresh ingredients adds more flavor, and also I like the fact that I can control the texture and how I want it to kind of full the flavor kind of capacity, because I think texture also adds to flavor, and it's really important to me to be able to just kind of mitigate that. And also it has less preservatives, so I can add more butter in with that. There I go, chop, chop, chopping. I mean, these videos really are very spontaneous. I never have a goal. And if they seem like they're unplanned, it's because they are. I generally I'm like, oh, I'm making this, I should probably film it. So they're not very well organized. I guess it helps to show that this is pretty basic, because what you're seeing now is what you get. This is how it's done. Once that's ready, you'll see the mixture will start looking like a translucent golden color. And then I throw in all my spices. I've been told to throw them in before you add the final ingredients, just so you like onion chili kind of mix, because it's the best way to get the most flavor into the dish. What you saw just now was coriander and mustard seeds. It's traditional in Indian cuisine, but I find that it gives a lot of flavor to the to the dish. And then I've just thrown in pink Himalayan salt, pepper. I think that might be a mixed meat spice. You really can use whatever you want to. And however, I have also thrown in a bit of paprika, even though I've added in chili. So you kind of throw in all these ingredients. This is chili powder. It's from a like proper spice store where they mix it up for you. And if you're not planning to cook this down properly, don't throw it in because chili powder is quite difficult to kind of cook out that taste. You want the flavor. You don't want, the spice of it. And once all of that is in, put it on the stove, mix it up, let it simmer down. I throw some water into it. That's brown sugar. I always add a little bit of brown sugar to any tomato-based dish that I make because it's quite difficult to get any flavor to come through that tanginess. And then a tiny bit of soup. It could be whatever soup flavor you want to, just to give it a bit more body. And that's it. Let it cook down, and there we go. It's a spicy chili con soya. I've just added in soya mince afterwards. I forgot to film it. But this is kind of what you get. Super quick and easy and simple.